The Rams versus the Carolina Panthers, Week 13. Jeez Louise, I can't believe we're here already. And happy early Thanksgiving to all of you. Hey, how are these Rams going to beat these Carolina Panthers and continue to hold on to the number one seed in the NFC conference? Me and Mark, we'll talk about that next on this game preview Keys to Victory episode here on the Rams Up Podcast Network. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Rams Up Podcast Network. If you're on YouTube and you enjoy our content, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any other video throughout this fun and wild 2025 season. And if you're on the audio only or podcast only side of things, hey, share the podcast, share the audio with all your fellow Rams fans. And guys, any of those options helps other Rams fans see our content, and me and Mark very much appreciated. But Mark, my friend, happy early Thanksgiving to you. Happy early Thanksgiving to all the Ramley tuning in as well. Isn't it insane that we're here already? I feel like it was just yesterday we were freaking out over Matthew Stafford's back.
Yeah, and it wasn't too long ago. We had a couple of devastating losses. How are we going to recover? And then here we are, the talk of the NFL, for better or worse at the moment, these Los Angeles Rams are.
I remember once upon a time, other fans of other fan bases were saying, oh, the Rams are screwed. They went all in for that 2021 Super Bowl.
Right.
And for one season, it was looking that way. Let's be real. All right. The disaster 2022 season, things didn't work out for health reason wise, coaching wise. McVay was having a midlife crisis, bailed on a bunch of veteran all pro level players, Bobby, Jalen, Allen Robinson's contract was horrible. They got out of that, and et cetera, et cetera. But here we are. Everything's okay. Good drafting. And there's still a lot of things that be done in the season, right? They got to beat Carolina. They still got another matchup with Seattle, a big Lions game, which I hope it gets flexed to Sunday or Monday because I'll be there for that if that's the case. And there's still many important games. Cardinals twice. But to be number one seed right now after, what is that? Brandon Beane from the Buffalo Bills, their general manager, was talking about, we're trying to avoid a Rams-like collapse. To you, Brandon Beane, how's your team looking and how is our squad looking throughout the years? But anywho, I just wanted to just enjoy all that, Mark.
Yeah, I remember that too. I remember, bantering with people on social media, telling me, hey, you guys went all in, just like you said. You won your Super Bowl, and we'll hear from you again in about 5 years. And man, McVay and Demoff and Les Snead accelerated that turnaround. And man, here we are, the best team in the National Football League again.
Thank you, McSnead, the Sean McVay Les Snead combination. And everyone else involved. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Stan, for being a gazillionaire and funding all this and all the crazy ideas that this team has with money spending.
And we probably need to talk about Tony once in a while too.
And Tony Pastore, he is also part of the money man or the cap guy. I mean, hey, I think we do a good job bringing him up when we talk contracts and stuff and
right.
all that. Because everyone credits Les, which he deserves a lot of credit, but Tony's the numbers guy, does all the hardcore math on that, and I'm sure Les does too. But anywho, guys, despite being the number one seed, I mean, they still got to take care of business. Rams versus Panthers in this Week 13 matchup. As I was hopeful Carolina would have beaten San Fran, but that was too much to ask for on Monday night from that team, as the Carolina Panthers stupidly only ran the ball 9 times. So that irritated the hell out of me seeing that, Mark. But I think when this team is serious with their formula, not to get in too much with the game preview yet, they can be a respectable squad. So for anyone out there that thinks this is going to be, excuse me, my words get caught up there, it's going to be an easy W, I don't think so. So everyone, again, should be a W. We're more talented and better coaching and all that. But it's not going to be some no-brainer, in my opinion, if the Panthers play to their capabilities, which we've seen this season,
Yeah, I agreed. And and then again, we thought, like I mentioned last night, that we thought this Tampa Bay team was going to give us a fight. So we're just
Yeah.
wondering how good is this Ram team,
Yeah.
and if they're as good as people are saying. And sometimes that makes me uncomfortable. People talking up the Rams this much at this point in the season, but we can't be disappointed if they don't squash every opponent. If they win by 6 or 8, as long as it's a W, right?
As long as it's a W. But hey, guys, before we go any deeper into all this fun nitty gritty, happy Thanksgiving one more time, yeah. But you know what? The sponsor of this video, my bookie, has a fun Thanksgiving gift to you. So before we continue, a quick message from them, my bookie.
Yeah. So, what is the holy trinity of Thanksgiving weekend? It is turkey, football, and bad decisions. And my book is going to help you out here. Their lock of the season is back. This is what they got going on. The over under on touchdowns scored in this Black Friday game between the Bears and the Eagles, half a touchdown, half a touchdown. So, it's basically a gimme. So, you got to jump on this. Use that promo code RAMS up. And by the way, you having Thanksgiving with your favorite uncle or a cousin you haven't seen in a while, have them log on to it. It will boost your account. Use that promo code RAMSUP. Have them use that promo code. And, we still have the other deals going on with that promo code, up to $500 in bets fully covered for first time users. So spread the word. The feast is on with my bookie. The lock of the season is back.
Thank you, my bookie, for sponsoring this video. And hey, anyone trying to get a little extra cash for this Thanksgiving, slate of games, and hey, bet some Rams, maybe some prop bets. You think Matthew's gonna tear it up again in his MVP season? Not a bad idea. Again, thanks to my bookie. But all right, Mark, how about that Rams versus Panthers history, right? As we like to look back and see how the Rams done throughout the years against these Carolina Panthers. And they haven't played each other a ton because Carolina hasn't been or in existence a long time. What's the year on them, Mark? Again, was it 2000?
Oh, geez. I don't
And
even.
no, actually, don't call me on any of that. Let's find that out. But Mark, regular season, Carolina Panthers 12-10. They have a 2-game lead on this, and the playoff game. Ugh, thought it'd be better of just off memory.
Yeah, the playoff game, I remember it well. That was Steve Smith. Was that the playoff game with Steve Smith
Oh, when they
beating
got
the
young Steve
Jason
Smith. Yeah.
Jason Sehorn? Something kind of unsettled in the secondary there occurred. I don't know if someone got bumped, and Steve Smith was off to the races, and we were done.
Jake Delhomme was good that year too, man. He was a good
Yeah.
quarterback for them. He had some good moments. And oh, painful times, Rams. Painful times.
Yeah,
But
it surprised me that we had a losing rate. If you had asked a random person on the street, they would guess that the Rams have won this series handily, but not the case.
isn't that crazy? I mean, you would think back just throughout the history of playing each other, it would be more times for whatever, NFC teams. But if the Rams have a losing record, a lot of those St. Louis days screwed this team, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Screwed this team. And for anyone out there, fun fact, the team was created in 1993. I want to say if my actually no, that is not the right Panthers. Let me pull this up. Thank you, Google, for not being correct on that. Carolina Panthers. But anywho, I'll get to that once I find that correct stat. But how about the last 5 times we played each other? No matter when they were created, how about those last 5 games? As the 2010 matchup, the St. Louis Rams beat them. I think it was a young Cam Newton was on that team. 2013, the St. Louis Rams lose to a up and coming Cam Newton Panthers. 2016, I remember that game. I was there at that one. The defensive battle. Aaron Donald, was one of the few humans on earth that could single-handedly bring down Cam Newton and make him look like a rag doll. I remember that sack in that game. But the Rams led the Coliseum 13-10. 2019, was after the Super Bowl season where it was that week one matchup, right? We had a little good back and forth. Jared Goff had a decent day, and the Rams were scoring points. They won that 30-27. And then the most recent matchup, which feels forever ago, the disaster 2022 season, I was also there for that game where it was a narrow battle that whole time. McCaffrey, was their only weapon that was doing anything. And we won that 24-10 as, that was kind of the beginning signs of the Rams offensive line getting continuously hurt and things just kind of spiraled from there, but they won that game, Mark. As we pull up the stats for that, Panthers were 1-5, Rams are 3-3, just, trying to get their footing together. Oh, that's right. Philip Walker was their quarterback. I was trying to think who it was exactly. McCaffrey was their only main guy doing anything. 13 rushing attempts for 69 yards, 7 receptions for 89 yards. He was just a one-man show that day. Cooper got 7 for 80. Henderson was our main back at the time, 12 for 43 and a touchdown. Stafford didn't have a great day. 1 INT, 1 touchdown, 253. As, again, like I pointed out earlier, that was the beginning of the issues of that 2022 team, as the linemen were getting hurt every single game. I want to say that was when Alaric Jackson was getting blood clots. I want to say it was a game. Note Boom got severely hurt, if I remember, because I saw multiple linemen get yanked in that game. Ugh, bad times that, Mark.
Yeah, and you know what? Full disclosure, I do not remember Philip Walker. I do not remember him at all, and that's the dent he left on my memory. But yeah, that season with the offensive lineman musical chairs, it was incredible. And I did a little segment on one of my podcasts just for fun. I tried to recite all the changes game by game for the that occurred along our offensive line over a 6 or 7 week period. And man, I got to dig that up. It was something else, but at least we got a win in this one.
Yeah, dark times.
Yeah,
Dark ass times, and I'm glad that we made it through. Number 1 seed in the NFC right now, like we talked about earlier. But and for anyone out there, real quick, as I was misquoting myself, but I did not misquote myself. Yeah, Panthers were created in 1993, and then they played a bunch of years, and eventually got better, had a Super Bowl appearance, etc., etc., etc. But how about this Panthers team as a whole, right? How they've been doing? Well, they're 6-6 right now, right? They had an abysmal game plan against the Niners on Monday night, as we all saw. But they started the year losing in Jacksonville, losing against Arizona. Then they had an ass whipping against the Atlanta Falcons. It was Michael Penix's worst game as a pro. And again, he hasn't played that much. Beat them, had a bad loss against the Patriots, beat Miami, probably played their best overall against Dallas, right? They had a shootout. At least offensively, they were playing good. Had a W against New York, but who wasn't getting wins. Got obliterated by the Bills. Beat the Green Bay Packers, right? It was like the Packers leather helmet throwback uniform game, right? Which is a weird opponent to choose, by the way. If you're going to wear like throwback leatherhead helmet stuff, you feel like you would wear it against like, the Cowboys or somebody, a team like that's been around forever.
the Bears.
Any of the teams that have been around 80 plus years, it feels like. So they wore it against the Panthers, had a bad loss. Panthers got the W. Then they had a bad loss themselves, Carolina against the Saints. Then they have an overtime win against the Falcons. And then they had, a poor offensive performance against the Niners. So here they are, 6-6, Mark. But again, there's moments where you're like, oh, Bryce Young looks good. Oh, McMillan. Oh, Rico Dowdle went for how much on the ground? Chuba Hubbard's the backup. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. But they're just not consistent, man. But they're still alive to win the South, which is crazy after, we curb stomped the Bucks on Sunday night.
Yeah, I don't sit around and watch a lot of Panther football.
Me
Full
either.
disclosure here as well. But, I did watch a bit of that 49er Panthers game, and it was obvious to me that I think what happened in that game is they determined that the 49ers have no pass rush, and they don't. So they were just going to let
Yep.
Bryce Young hang back there and try to find open receivers. But his decision making and his accuracy and his arm strength to me all looked a little bit lacking. Hey, I don't have a lot of data points on the guy. I know he's had some really good games, but it just did. There was one play early in the game he could have walked into the end zone and he tries to
That was
force a
bad.
pass.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, So yeah, I don't know. Still he's a young quarterback, and I probably has a future here. But I think that there a lot of their inconsistency is probably due to his inconsistency. I'm guessing.
Yeah. It's definitely that way on film, but we'll get to all that very, very soon. But hey, everyone, I mean, how about this Panthers roster and their best players, right? We started to name drop some of them already as guys to look out for, but let's go through it. And by the way, there are a lot of former Rams on this team, which is kind of crazy and funny, however you want to take that. So let's get into it. How about the roster as a whole? So the Panthers offense we'll start out with. So, real quick, if you're on YouTube here with us, if you see a red dot next to a player's name, that player's been a Pro Bowler in their career. If you see a green dot next to a player's name, they've been an all pro player in their career. And if you see a blue dot next to the player's name, that means they've been a former Ram at some time in their career as well. So let's go through it. Bryce Young, the starting quarterback, Andy Dalton, the backup. That's a pretty good backup, in my opinion, who's been a good player in this league multiple times with Cincinnati. Maybe they haven't won playoff games, but that was just more a Cincinnati curse, on their end, and Marvin Lewis issue. Not a bad one, too. But let's be honest, Mark. I think if Andy Dalton was playing against us, I'd be a little more fearful just because Bryce Young's has been way too inconsistent, man.
Yeah, Andy Dalton is the type of guy that can just walk out onto a field and immediately start playing productive football. Regardless, he's just got tons of experience. He's a good player, and yeah, I agree with you. I could see
Yeah.
him connecting with T Mac over and over and over again. Of course, our secondary has been playing pretty darn good, so I don't know if I'd be overly scared, but more worried about Andy Dalton than Bryce Young at this point.
I mean, it's true. Again, you can think of the Bryce Young that played against Dallas, the Bryce Young that shows up against Atlanta, and the Bryce Young that took care of the football against the Packers. For the most part, it wasn't great. But you know what I mean? Like, if we get that version, then okay. But that's very, very far in between from reality, I think, right? But then the running back room, Mark. This is a great 1-2 punch. And what a shock that Rico Dado, a Cowboys castoff, is one of the best running backs in the league. And again, what were they thinking only giving him the ball 6 times against the Niners? He is the engine that gets this offensive going, everyone. Rico Dowdle, the Cowboys castoff, number 5. He's got 174 carries right now, which is 7th best in the NFL. Should have more. 871 rushing yards, tied for 6th. Crazy. 5 rushing touchdowns, tied for 16. I get it. They're not getting the end zone that much. And averaging 5 yards a carry, which is, pretty solid. So he is one of their best players, Mark. It's not even a question that if he gets fed, he is productive. And this is my main concern for the game. And I give some more keys to victory type statement I'm going to make. But because he didn't get the ball hardly at all against the Niners, it feels like this is going to be a game where the Carolina Panthers force feed him. And he's going to get a lot of attempts. But again, that's how it should be for them because he is their best player, one of them on offense and the entire team. And he is what takes the pressure off Bryce Young, play action pass, et cetera, et cetera. But Rico Dowdle, who would have thought, man? He's a baller, man.
Yeah, 5'11", 215. So he's a load, and it came out of nowhere, really. And the Rams have been, a lot of attention. A lot of the highlight reels we're seeing are the Rams cornerbacks and safeties making plays, but Puna Ford and company have been playing really well against the run. And I think you're right, though. They're going to get tested in this game because I think if the Panthers are going to win this game, they're going to have to get back to establishing the run. So Puna Ford and those guys up front are going to have to play really well. Nate Landman as well, Omar Spates, to slow down this running game. Put them in, second and third and long. That's going to be one of the keys to winning this game, I think.
Yeah, definitely a big key, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But no doubt about it, Rico Dowdle, the surprise running back starter and star in the NFL, one of their best players by far. But then, hey, let's not forget about Chuba Hubbard, who they paid big time in the offseason, right? He was playing well for them for many years. So that's their backup running back, by the way, which is crazy. So that's a good one, too, right there. And then Tetairoa McMillan, or T-Mac they call him, he is for sure one of their best players. And Mark, once upon a time, and even to this day, I still have like a really? The Rams were trying to trade for him in this last draft. As Diana Rossini from The Athletic and other people were reporting, like, oh, yeah, the Rams were trying multiple times to move up and draft him out of University of Arizona, which is kind of crazy, Mark. I knew they were tied in central, but T-Mac would have fit in this offense. There's no doubt about it. And what a shock. He's one of their best players. 56 catches, which is 16th best in the NFL right now. 783 yards, which is 11th best as a rookie in the entire NFL, not just for rookies, but overall. Crazy. Tied for 5 receiving touchdowns. If the quarterback play was more consistent, probably feels like it would be a lot more. Averaging 14 yards a catch, which is pretty solid. But Mark, I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like, this guy is a number 1 level wide receiver. He can make the back shoulder catch. He can make the crispy route running, smooth sailing catches. He can make the tough catches. He is a big body guy. So if you don't throw it accurately, he has a chance to be able to snag it regardless. And in the run game, it may not be perfect, but he is able to block of what I've seen on film from him. So yes, our corners have been playing well, but this is a matchup they gotta bring their buckle, or they gotta suit up for, strap him up, the buckle celebration, right? They gotta be in that mindset because he is a bigger body guy. It may not necessarily be he beat you deep, or he can, school you in route running. It may be like an AJ Brown type thing where, Bryce Young or Andy Dalton just chucks it up to him. We got to be ready for that. He is one of their best guys for sure.
Yeah, he seems like a perfect guy to have a Killer Witherspoon back for, actually,
No kidding. Yeah.
a bigger cornerback. And he has had some drops this season. That's the one knock on him, but he's a rookie. He'll
Yeah.
come around. And, I could see why the Rams would want him. 6'4", 212 pounds. He's in that, actually a little bit taller than Puka, but same type frame. And, this is what the Rams have done for years, right? They call it 11 personnel, but, their wide receivers are dudes like this, that thick,
Yeah.
nasty dudes that he may not be the greatest blocker yet, but they can play like a tight end when you need him to. So, yeah, he looks like he's on his way to maybe not this year, but eventually a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, I mean, look at it. If he keeps up the yardage and the receptions are still, hovering top 15, he may get that nod. But it seems unlikely. There's a lot of guys, good players in the NFC. But if Sean McVay wanted this guy desperately, that's a player you got to watch out for. And in an alternate timeline, we would have 2 Polynesian starting receivers on this team. That would have been kind of crazy. Puka Nacua, Tetairoa McMillan, as they're both, of Samoan heritage. And, hey, T-Mac's a Southern California guy, as he went to school out here. I think he went to Mater Dei, if my memory's right on that. Might be wrong. Maybe a Servite, maybe Orange Lutheran. Don't quote me on that. But one of
It
their best
was
players for sure.
it was Servite. I happen to have his bio up
There you go,
here
yeah.
as you were talking. Yeah.
Nice. Yep, Servite High School, not too far in Orange County around here. All right, so there's their number 1 wide receiver. But hey, Xavier Legette, the former second-round pick, when he gets his act together, he's another big-bodied son of a gun that can catch a lot of crazy passes. Jalen Coker, Jimmy Horn, right, the rookie as well. That's not a bad group right there. They're not consistent because of the quarterback play and et cetera, but don't forget about Hunter Renfrow as well, a former Pro Bowl guy. They all kind of rotate in and get a lot of playing time. So that's not a receiving group that's like, they're whatever. They're definitely not the case. Because again, when Bryce Young and them or when Bryce Young and the quarterback is on point, like, they're getting yardage and they're beating people in the passing game. So as a whole, that's a solid group for sure. And let's not forget about the tight end, Jatavian Sanders, if I say that right. Sorry about that. He is a pass catcher, type of tight end-esque receiver guy. Tommy Tremble gets his, moments in there too. So as a whole, Mark, this skill group, running back, wide receiver, tight end, is respectable in my opinion as a whole.
Yeah, Jalen Coker, he's his second year now, and he was a guy that I think Paul Wallia loved coming out. I think it was like Holy Cross or someplace like that. A really fast wide receiver. And a lot of these guys, Ram fans, they might be a bunch of no names, except for 2 or 3 of them. But, if you follow the draft and pay close attention, there are some players here, like you say.
Absolutely. And as we get to the linemen, everyone, Ikem, if I say it right, apologies. If I don't, apologies. Ikem Ekwonu is their left tackle. And then you got Damian Lewis as a left guard. You got Cody Mays and Chandler Zavala at center and right guard. Those guys are questionable. And then you got Taylor Motton as the right tackle. But old friend Austin Corbett, the Super Bowl champion O lineman for that 2021 squad, excuse me. As we knew, when we got him, he had that center and guard flexibility. So there's a 50% chance he's probably going to start against us at center or guard. We'll see what happens to the lineman. But that's, good depth. As, way back when, Mark, when he was getting concussed a lot in the 2022 season, the Rams bailed on him because of that. Let's just be honest about it.
Yeah, he played some good football for us. I think we signed him from the Colts, I thought it was, or we
The
traded for
Browns,
him.
we got him,
Or
right?
is it the Browns? Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, he was at the time. It turned out like it was kind of like a steal. We felt like, wow, where did this guy come from?
Yeah, it was another
And
lineman trade.
yeah, had a very productive for us. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see him, see how he measures up against this Rams, this big powerful Rams offensive defensive line with Puna Ford. I think that might be if he were to play, I think that might be a little bit of a mismatch in our favor. Puna Ford line. No knock on Austin Corbett, but I think that would be one matchup in our favor for sure.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. So we'll see if our old friend from the Super Bowl championship O line will start either at center or right guard as one of their backups. But I'm moving on to the defense, everyone. Again, one more time for you. You see a red dot next to a player's name, Pro Bowler in their career. You see a green dot, they've been an all pro. And if you see a blue dot, they've been a former Ram. And there are a lot of former Rams on this defense as guys, they run a 3-4 defense, which is the similar scheme, or not similar, is the base scheme of what we do. And again, one more time, if anyone's unsure what that is, that's 3 defensive linemen, nose tackle, 2 D tackles or DNs, quote unquote. And then you have 4 linebackers, 2 inside, 2 outside, right? So picture Landman and Omar, and then our edge rusher outside linebackers, and a Jared Verse and a Byron Young. So they run that similar scheme because why? Well, they have out there Ejiro Evero, a former Rams coach, as he's running a Rams-esque defensive scheme with them. And because of that, again, there are so many Rams guys that are on this squad. Let's start with the starters. You got Tershawn Wharton as the starting D tackle. You have old friend Super Bowl champion who was awesome for us, Ashawn Robinson. Derek Brown is one of their best players by far, Mark, as we'll get to him right now. Again, the stats aren't insane with him as he's more just blowing up plays. Right now, he's got 20 solo tackles. He's got 3 sacks. No forced fumbles, no INTs, of course. But on film, Mark, he is a disruptor. You know how Sean McVay, everyone likes to talk about how just because Jared and Braden and Kobe and Byron may not be blowing up the stats sheet every week, but you watch the film, you're like, man, they got a pressure there. Man, they stopped the run good there. Oh, man, them getting double teamed there freed up somebody else. Derek Brown is absolutely one of those type of guys, and he got paid accordingly. He's one of the highest paid defensive, interior linemen in the NFL. And he is somebody that is a mismatch for a lot of interior linemen. So Kevin Dotson, our line, Steve Avila, Coleman, Shelton, double team that guy and get him out of the way because one-on-one stuff, that's probably not going to work. Let's be honest.
Yeah, they're I just have so much confidence in our offensive line at this point. And all respect to Derek Brown. He's going to have the game of his life to slow down the Rams, I think,
Yeah.
to get any pressure. Our running game hasn't been lights out because we haven't been leaning on it. But we'll see how that goes. I think the Rams at some point need to get back to the run game a little bit, but and find out if we can deal with guys like this. But the way the Rams
Yeah.
offense is going, there's almost no point. Just keep rolling the way we've been rolling. Let Matthew Stafford have his big year.
Yeah, it feels that way for sure. But at any moment, man, he had some big moments against the Packers, right? You would say has a respectable O line, good coordinator, good players. And he was kicking their ass for a while, which is a big reason why they upset them. So one of their best players by far. Let's get back to the main defensive starters here. So out of that group, Bobby Brown III, our former starting nose tackle, he is their backup for both nose and DN, and you'll get playing time. As Evero has a Rams mentality, he'll rotate in guys, so we'll see him. Then you have also Nick Scorden, one of their linebackers, Christian Roseboom, a former. This is kind of crazy to say. He was a really good linebacker for us last year, Mark. So he's their starting guy. He's their Mike linebacker, if my memory's right on that. And that's pretty crazy to see. Good for him. Then you got Trayvon Wallace, the other linebacker. You got DJ Wonham. You got Mike Jackson. Trayvon Moore got his ass suspended for, nut checking Jawan Jennings during the game. And so he will not play, which helps us out. So you'll maybe see Damani Richardson. Maybe you'll see some Latham Ransom fill in for him. We'll see how that goes. And then former Rams Super Bowl champion Nick Scott is their starting free safety, which is crazy. JC Horn is dealing with concussion. So it's up in the air with what he'll play or not. Who could fill in for him? Oh, yeah. Former Ram Robert Rochelle is likely to take his place if he can't go. And then you got Charles Smith Wade as the nickel corner there. So, Mark, a lot of Rams that are probably going to start and or play against us, which is kind of crazy, man.
Yeah, and a lot of guys that have something to prove, especially Bobby Brown. And worth noting, I'm pretty sure I saw this that they also added to their practice squad. I mean, they got a lot of churn in the secondary right now,
Yeah.
injuries, suspensions, and they signed to remember David Long, our old cornerback, is
Right.
on their practice squad now. But Christian Roseboom, I got to say, I think he's one of the more underappreciated Rams of the last few years. He wasn't spectacular, but he was a functional, you know, uh, dedicated linebacker that got the job done most of the time. And he's actually 12th in the league in tackles right now. So he's no slouch. I mean, I think Ram
No.
fans are celebrating the arrival of Nate Landman and are thrilled with Omar Spates, and we've kind of
Yeah.
forgotten about Roseboom. He was okay. He did a pretty good job for us.
I mean, Mark, that second half of the season, he was good. Like the film, we talked about it. Like the film wasn't lying to us. We weren't being biased. He was a good linebacker for that team. He was I guess you could say, a Super Bowl caliber linebacker if things went a little better against the Eagles, which I think we would have won the championship last year if, we don't screw that game up multiple different ways. So he's a good player for them. Hey, Sean, I mean, again, bunch of Rams that we know have been good players in this league once upon a time for us. So that's the defense, everyone, coached by another former Ram, Mr. Evero out there. So got to watch out for them. They can bring the heat. And again, we'll see who ends up playing, who doesn't. Again, Roseboom questionable, JC Horn with concussion. They're starting safety suspended. So we'll see. Maybe a rough day for them. Maybe not. We'll find out soon. But how about the specialists? You got Ryan Fitzgerald as the kicker. You got Sam Martin as the punter and holder. Then you got Trevor Etienne. No, not Travis Etienne. That is the brother of the Jaguars running back. He's their return man. And you'll maybe see some Chuba Hubbard and Hunter Renfro back there as well. So not a bad group. Again, Rams have been a little bit better recently covering kicks, but, they still got some guys that got ability, Mark.
Yeah, and by the way, I stumbled across this stat, and I wasn't imagining this. The Rams are lead the league in touchback percentage. So, and the upside of that is maybe the kick returner is out of the game because we have been kicking off a lot. And the Michael Wilborn was at the play-by-play Sunday night. He said what I had been thinking. If the Rams have just decided, you know what, we're going to let you have the ball at the 35. We're not going to give you one chance at a big play, especially once you get a lead. So I was kind of second guessing that strategy, but the more I think about it, the opponent's kick returners are fairly irrelevant at this point.
Yeah. I mean, McCarty with the dirty kicks was working great, but then it screwed up his field goal stuff so bad that
Yeah.
they just couldn't. I know. So everything's jagged. Now Ethan Evans is booming it out. But hey, when you have the number one borderline defense in the NFL, you could argue everything's fine. But we'll see as
Yeah.
that theory gets tested with, important games this week and beyond. So, hey, we'll see what happens with them. Hopefully, no ETN or run pro will be
Yeah,
great.
I just hope our kick coverage team doesn't get a little rusty when,
That
when we
too.
decide hey, when we got to flip it and say like, hey, let's drop it in the landing zone against teams like the Lions, teams that can really be Cowboys. Not that we're going to play them. Teams that can
Yeah,
put a lot of points up real quickly. Giving them the ball on the 35-yard line every time, to me, that's a little dicey. Against the
that is dicey.
Panthers and against a banged up Bucks team, yeah, okay.
Yeah, they better not. Dang it. I'll be irritated. Don't screw up my holiday weekend, everyone out there in the Rams organization. Please be good on special teams for us. But all right, everyone. Talked about the roster, talked about the history between these two teams and the last matchup. But how about the head to head stats? How are the Rams stacking up as of today? How are the Panthers stacking up with production wise on both sides of the ball? So let's pull that up now, everyone. As here, we'll start with the Panthers offense. Right now, not going great. 18 points per game, which is one of the worst in the NFL, which is 28th best. They're not getting touchdowns very often. Yards per game, 22nd, about 307.3. Not great. They're on the lower half of the league. But rushing, borderline top 10, probably would be top 10 if they ran against a Niners, even just a little bit more than 9 carries. It still irritates me. 122.3 rushing yards per game. Again, borderline top 10. A lot of that has to do with Rico Dowdle and his ability. And even Chuba Hubbard, the backup, man, which is crazy. He's a starter in this league. So that's what they got going for him. Passing, not great. 185, which is 27th, one of the worst in the NFL. Red zone, bottom tier, right? 51.35% of the time to scoring a touchdown there. 24th best in the league. Sacks, 28 allowed, which is the 12th most. So, Bryce Young or Andy Dalton, they're getting hit. They're getting brought to the ground a ton. And then turnovers, they've given the ball away 17 times, which is the 4th most in the NFL. So, Mark, as a whole, if they ain't running the ball, they ain't doing Jack Tilly squat most times than not.
Yeah, and it'd be interesting to see if they stick to that same strategy that they did had the one they tried to execute against the 49ers. Just kind of crazy, but I think we'd enjoy that if they did. Yeah, just really odd. I'm scratching my head too, trying to understand why they would do that.
Of course, against our arch rivals, teams' game plans suck. Not a shock. But again, we've seen good moments from Bryce Young. We've known that he could chuck it around and be accurate and look like a first round quarterback, but it's so far in between of that being a reality. So there are the stats to back up their offense. But how about that Rams defense facing that Panthers offense? Where are they ranking right now? Well, about damn time. The Rams are the number 1 team in the league, giving up the fewest points per game on defense, 16.3 points per game, as they have been obliterating teams as of recently, as they finally overtake Denver on that stat, which is fun to see and good to see, Mark. Yards per game, finally back in the top 10, only giving up 311.2, which is 9th best in the NFL. Good. The rushing, still irritating to see, all right? 20th, 102.7 rushing yards per game given up. You would think, in theory, the Puna Ford and Landman and others just all growing together would be better. But if you're not scoring touchdowns, then what does it matter, I guess? Passing, much better, as that's getting near the, hovering top 10. 13th best in the NFL, which is only giving up 208.5 yards per game. We'd like to see that continue to improve for sure. And then again, another mega important stat: 42.86% of the time Rams defense is giving up a touchdown, which is second best in the NFL. Sacks, 31, which is 9th most in the NFL. So they're back in the top 10 finally. And then takeaways, 20 of them, which is second most in the NFL. So, Mark, Rams Nation out there, to my annoyance of seeing the rushing in the 20th, when you're giving up the least amount of points, when you're giving up the second least touchdowns, and we're taking away the ball the second most, I guess everything's fine, ain't it?
Yeah, I mean, I know, Paul Walia would be very disturbed by watching that stat, and I know you are as well. But as the season has progressed, it's kind of grown on us a little bit, right? That it's working, um, and it is what it is at this point. It's hard to be critical of any decision the Rams coaching staff is making at this point over the last 5, 6 games. We'd really have to be nitpicking to find fault with anything. I do wish they. The only thing I would say is, get Kyron and Blake involved in the passing game more, which isn't going to help the rushing stats any. But they're
Yeah,
basically long handoffs, right? Kind of the same deal.
Mhm.
But hey, this team's got it going on in all aspects, from execution to play calling. So I'm going to leave it alone.
Yep, the defense is elite, and there's a lot of stats we just read off for 'em. And again, if you're on YouTube, you can look at this yourself with your own two eyes. They're elite, which is good to see. But how about the Rams offense, who has been pretty damn elite too? 27.8 points per game, which is sixth best in the NFL. Good to see. Yards per game, top 10, 358.4, which is ninth. Because, I saw a tweet from AJ, who was a Rams fan and Lakers and LA guy. I forget his full handle on that. And he always has funny stuff he's tweeting out. He's part of the fan base on there. That's always entertaining. I want to say he said during the game of the Bucks, he's like, oh, McVay's back in his make-a-wish playbook. He doesn't want to blow anybody out and drop 40, 40, 50 points. Again, shout out to the Make-A-Wish Foundation for always doing good things for the kids out there who are dealing with serious things. But I chuckled at that. The Make-A-Wish playbook, Mark. Again, the yards and the points could probably be severely more. McVay takes his foot off the gas pedal, which is true. So those two stats could be way more yards and points per game. But the rushing, till we talked about earlier, 110, which is 22nd in the NFL, right? I don't like to see that. I want to see closer to top 10. But again, when your team is throwing the ball with an MVP quarterback and he's averaging 248.4 passing yards per game, which is fifth best in the NFL, no problem, right? And when you're scoring in the red zone, finally, Mark, top 5 in the NFL, 65.96% of the time Rams are punching it in. Thank you, Devontae and Stafford, and that being a major part of it. Beautiful thing to see. 15 sacks allowed, which is the 30th most, or you can flip that to say that is the, you know, third best of not giving up sacks, which is crazy. Matthew and the O-line are just in sync, which is great. And then only 8 giveaways on offense. All right, Matthew Stafford only has 2 INTs. We've had some fumbles from a couple guys. Only the 27th most turnovers, or you can flip that around and say, they're hovering the top 5 best teams not giving it away. An elite offense, Mark. And again, the Make-A-Wish playbook that we do at the end of games. McVay respects them. We're not going to drop 40, 50 points on them. All these could be way more.
Yeah, I was looking up some background stats while you're talking defense. I already gave you my inputs on the offense. I got ahead of you there,
All
but
good.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's just, and that's what I was looking up. Over this winning streak, it's a really nice problem to have. It's stress-free second halves for Ram fans, but part of that is the offense just isn't as aggressive, and they're content just to play it a little safe, punt the ball away. And even though Stafford and McVay, I guess they got upset with each other in the second half there, and
It's all
Sunday
right.
night about a missed opportunity. So it's not like there's just less urgency, right? When you're putting a team away like that.
Yeah. And again, we don't want anybody to get hurt late in games. So, my clamoring for a 40 or 50 burger on our offense, scoring on an opposing team's defense. I get it. The goal is to win a championship, not score 40, 50 points every game. But it'd be fun to see that every once in a while. Selfishly, as an offensive guy in my history of playing days. But how about the Panthers defense, everyone? How do they set up and, match up, I should say, against the Panthers offense? So right now, 22.4 points per game giving up, which is 19th most in the NFL, right? The offense has really screwed them. They played some good moments in games where I feel like they're just put in bad situations. So that's kind of skewed in my opinion. Yards per game, same kind of thing. Offense for their team screwed them a lot. 18th most in the NFL with 327.1. yards per game. Rushing, 14th, only 115.9 given up per game. Passing, 16th, 211.2. So those are middle of the pack. Again, being put in a lot of bad spots. But sacks, they've had an issue getting to the quarterback. 30th, which is bottom tier, right? You're part of the bottom 3 in the NFL. Only 16 sacks they've gone, and that bodes well for us. And then turnovers, they've had 14, which is 11th most. So they've had moments where they've taken away the football, Mark. But I think this defense, again, a lot of former Rams are on it, coached by a former Ram, calling plays for them on defense, Evero. And they deserve more respect, in my opinion. They are not as bad as these stats say. The film backs it up. And again, when an offense is piss poor a majority of weeks, they got to carry. Man, it's going to be tough for them with multiple secondary guys likely out this weekend, but they are respectable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think especially if JC Horn can't go, this defense, this secondary is going to be up against it. And the Rams may, poo-poo the rushing attack one more week, seeing what the secondary looks like.
Yeah.
A lot of backups, signing guys to the practice squad, elevating guys from the practice squad just to field a secondary in this game potentially. So Matthew Stafford and the receivers are going to have a field day, or should have a field day. And I think that's probably the most likely outcome here is the Rams are going to move the ball through the air at will, just like they have, for several weeks now. And going back to the defense here, you were upset about the Rams rushing defense. I would love to see a stat how many rushing yards the Rams have given up to quarterbacks this year. I think that has skewed our stats a little bit
I
over
mean,
the
it's
course of
true.
the
Yeah,
season.
most definitely. But, you just think it would just be better, right? Maybe 15th,
Yeah,
not 20th, right? That's my main
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
We'll get
yeah.
tested this week, in my opinion. That's for sure. As before we get into any other nitty gritty, everyone, I mean, how about the injury report for the team? As Rams have some guys that are banged up, Panthers have guys that we've talked about at length that are banged up, that have had, issues going on. So let's pull that up now, as this is the Wednesday report from both teams. Tutu Atwell, full with the hamstring, as he is likely to play this week. Akello Witherspoon, oh my God, after we all were freaking out when he broke his collarbone week 2 against Tennessee? And we're like, what a bummer. Our corners had a crappy day against A.J. Brown. We need Akello back. But since then, things have, progressed severely well with the Rams' outside cornerback group. And then, oh, by the way, no, hey, Akello, come on back, as he was clearly our best the last couple years. Back from, again, the shoulder, the collarbone injury. He participated in full. Xavier Smith, he's still dealing with the concussion stuff, but he was full, luckily. Kanate Mumfield, he had some big catches against the Bucks. He had a calf issue. He was limited. And then Kitchens and Byron Young did not practice with shoulder and knee issues, but McVay said they should be able to play. And then a backup Olam and Quisenberry, I assume, with his groin will be the same as well, that did not practice, Mark. But I think let's jump to this real quick, everyone. As if you did not know, they signed tight end Nick Vanette to the active roster, right? We need depth with Higbee being on IR. Darion Kendrick is back on the team, as he was claimed off waivers after Seattle said, forget you. You screwed up on special teams this last week. We don't want to keep you around, I guess. And then again, Tutu Atwell and Akello designated return from IR. But this is a bummer, Mark. Roger McCreary played one snap and injured his groin enough to go to IR. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, this may be tied to what Scott Richmond was saying, that it takes a lot longer than we think for defensive backs to get adjusted to a new defense, a new scheme. And I'm not saying that the Rams are just passing him off to next season. He'll be a free agent, but bring him back next year and he'll be a full-fledged member of the secondary. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. And by the way, I got to go back for you. This Akello Witherspoon injury, my special assistant just texted me while we were recording that Akello has shared that he didn't have a broken collarbone, that
Oh.
he suffered a left scapula injury
Oh.
of some nature, undisclosed nature, and So I think we had bad information, all of us, unless that's common knowledge. It wasn't to me. And because it is pretty amazing how quickly he came back. But there you have it. And I got a question about Darion Kendrick here. This seems to happen often. Yeah, how much of that has to do with just intelligence gathering from probably the second best team in the division?
Seahawks do this crap all the time, bro. Seriously, all our division, especially Seattle, for whatever reason, it just feels like they always sign former Rams to come in and maybe get info and yada yada. It's crazy. But again, with Roger going out, right? Josh Wallace is our lone slot nickel guy all of a sudden, which is crazy. And he played good on Sunday. Shout out to him. But hey, Darion Kendrick was getting groomed to learn that role when he was with us the last couple years.
Yeah.
So it makes sense why he was slated in there. So again, we just wanted to shout out all the injury stuff that was going on and the signings and claiming off waivers that was going on. So let's go back to the injury report, everyone, for Carolina's side of things. Trevin Wall's shoulder, he was full. Claudian Shirless, if I didn't say that right, sorry. He's got a concussion, didn't practice. JC Horn, we've talked about a bunch, has a concussion, did not practice. Cade Mays' center, we talked about ankle issue, did not practice. The starting guard, Chandler Zavala, the calf issue, did not practice. And then Robin with a hip and hamstring issue did not practice. So that's a lot of starters, Mark, that may not be able to go. And we talked about Corbett maybe filling in for the center or guard. Probably one of those is happening for sure. JC Horn maybe unlikely to play. We'll see what's up with Roseman with his leg and hip issues. But they're beat up. They got suspensions going on too. And, they're in a rough spot.
Yeah, man, we seem to be the benefit of this a lot. It's just really strange. The 49ers have been banged up twice against us, Tampa Bay, and now the Panthers. It's kind of crazy, but I don't like to see opponents, players get hurt. But if that happens to be the case when they're playing against us, we just got to take advantage of it and give this team no life right from the get go.
And yeah, look, nobody felt bad for our 2022 team when we were playing police academy guys and people that were on the street that were four-string guys you can call. So yes, it matters. Yes, you can always look back and say, hey, this guy was missing, this guy didn't play. But no one felt bad for us in our Super Bowl hangover season. So whoop-de-doo, I guess that's just the truth about it, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, yeah, it's you play with the cards you're dealt, and the Rams have been really healthy. I'm knocking on wood, as I always do. Not superstitious, but I don't want to be blamed for jinxing the team. And other teams seem to be, just stumbling to the finish line. And hey, it is what it is.
It is what it is, as a wise man once said. All right, everyone, how about we get to the nitty-gritty of all this? It's like if we haven't already. But
Yeah.
how are these Rams going to beat these Carolina Panthers? This is the keys to victory part of this, right? Some offense, some defense, and special teams as we, get ready to face off in this Week 13 matchup. That is important, no matter how you want to slice it. You cannot overlook Carolina. So, in this, Mark, we've talked about it a bunch already. They've got good skill players. They've got good coaches, in our opinion. They have good players on defense, and the defense, like we pointed out, has been put in a lot of bad spots because of the quarterback play being a mess most weeks. So I'll start with you on this. What are the keys to victory on offense for the Rams going up against a former Ram calling plays for the Panthers defense? Give it to me. What do we got to do to score points?
Well, it's this question is a lot more difficult when your team is 6-5 and the other team's 8-6 or whatever. But when your team is 9-2 and the number one seed and playing on offense like they have,
Yeah.
you just got to continue doing what you're doing. And in this game, I think that's, be a little pass happy. You're going to have to be a little pass happy. That's, be, that's who you are. That's who you've become. And you're going up against a team that is wounded in the secondary. Just don't turn the ball over, do anything stupid, ball security. And if they do all that, I mean, that's still it's a cop out, ball security. Don't give the ball away. Don't do anything stupid. But in this game, when you're clearly the better team, you have a big advantage. coming in, your strength against their weakness, your passing against their pass defense is pretty obvious, right? Just chuck the ball down the field and hang on to the ball. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it is pretty dang simple. And I think, again, they're going to be for sure missing a starting safety. They're probably, if I had to bet on it, and be careful on your bets, everyone. J.C. Horn probably doesn't play. Right, a short week coming from a concussion. Is it possible? Absolutely. And if he does play, that is a big factor for them. He's a good player, but I'm going to go with the assumption that he's not. I'm going to go with the assumption that maybe some other players on that defense for the Rams maybe have a little jitteriness to them. Right, Derek, Ashawn, Bobby, Roseboom, Scott, Rochelle having to fill in. And maybe they just get that kind of anxiety of it. And again, you can say, no, they want to be motivated to play well. But again, there shouldn't be any bad feelings as they're all Super Bowl champions, pretty much all of them. But I just think the Rams offense will know what they do well, what they do best, right, for all those former Rams guys. And they'll be able to exploit those weaknesses. And the main thing is double Derek Brown, please. Let's not leave Coleman Shelton one-on-one and be stupid in pass protection situation and get Matthew Stafford hit around by that guy. That's number one. Double team that man, please. And I think, Steve in the center, Kevin in the center can handle that more times than not, I think. And then, again, if they're missing backup guys, play your game. Matthew, make good decisions. Let Puka and Devontae find the open areas in their deep in routes, which they just kill people on every week, which is crazy. The dig route, you know what I'm talking about, everyone. In dig, tomato on the name. And be respectable in the run game. Don't just piss it away because they have backups in the secondary. Be respectable. And I would like to see a better rushing game. But again, Roseboom, Derek, Ashawn, it may not be as easy as we're all hoping for sure. But that's number one. Play your game, exploit the backups in the secondary, and double team Derek Brown. Let's not be stupid and leave him one-on-one with guys. Which, again, there'll be a moment where it'll happen, but don't be dumb, Rams offense, right? I think
Yeah, all
so.
makes sense. All makes sense.
So that was my keys of victory on offense, everyone. So I'll shoot it back to Mark here. What are your keys of victory on defense? How is this Rams defense going to stop this Carolina offense, who some weeks look great, some weeks suck?
Yeah, it really comes down to two guys, Rico Dowdle and T Mac.
Yeah.
And, I think we have the secondary to deal with T Mac. And, we've been really good at not letting teams take the top off. They have the other wide receiver, Coke or whatever his name is. He's a little bit of a speed demon. Got to be aware of him. But we've proven that our defense has been really rock solid in that area. I think it's clear the Panthers maybe learned their lesson last week, and they're going to try to establish the run. And I think if we can just keep them, under 4 yards a carry on first down, we'll be in really good shape. We just got to focus and commit guys to stopping the run on first and second down, especially. And if we do that, we'll be okay. Because I'm not really that fearful. What I saw last week, I'm not that fearful of Bryce Young taking over this game and doing crazy things and being a magician back there running around making plays. I think he's more likely going to make a big mistake if he does that. So it really just comes down to the stopping that running game. And I suspect I'm stealing the words out of your mouth because I don't know what else there is we have to be concerned about other than the big wide receiver out there.
It's the truth. And it's really that simple, Mark. And it seems like a lot of games have been this way as the Rams have faced premier running backs the whole season. Sell out to stop the run. Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard are the engines to this offense. And obviously, Rico's been on fire when he gets carries and he's made stuff happen. They have to sell out. Do it. Your corners are playing good right now. And I think you just have to go all in on the run game there because if Bryce Young or Andy Dalton beat you through the air, then you 1,000% deserve to lose this game. Right? I think it's just really that simple. Do not let their best attribute on offense beat you, and that is the run game. So I better see more rhino fronts in nickel, right? That would be, yanking out Omar, but then still keeping in the 5 up front guys. So real quick, there's different names for it. I'll just picture like this, everyone. The base 3-4 is all the five guys up front, two linebackers, two corners, two safeties. More Rhino front, which is a name I'm more familiar with, that is where, or Rhino nickel, you could call it. That's probably a better term, which is, yay, you yank out Omar, you put in a DB, but then you're still keeping Puna, Braden, Kobe, and the two edge guys and still Landman. I think that's got to be the case, right? You're still adding the extra DB to defend the pass, but then you're still keeping all your big body guys up front to defend the run. I think that's got to be a case more times than not, but maybe not. Maybe the Carolina Panthers have another dumbass game plan where they want Bryce Young save us like they did against the Niners, and then you don't have to do that. But got to stop Rico, got to stop Chuba, and if they get going, I'm not going to feel good about this game watching it. Let's just be honest about it. So that's number one. And again, if you can't do that, you deserve to lose. And if you do that and you let Bryce Young or Andy Dalton beat you through the air, then you also deserve to lose. I think it's that simple.
Hey, let me ask you this. Um, do the Rams make a change right from the get go at cornerback? Is Akilla Witherspoon going to be out there on first down, first defensive
I
play
don't
for?
think so. I think he'll get rotated. I think he'll get rotated in like
I would hope
we have
so.
been the
That
whole year and years past.
Yeah,
So
I would think that the smart play would be to just roll with what they've been doing and then
I
ease
agree.
him
Yeah.
in maybe in the second half. Hopefully
Let
that's what
Kobe and
happens.
Emmanuel start. They've been balling out. They shouldn't get yanked because of Okello back. And let Okello rotate in with D Will and let that be the
Yeah,
formula. And let's see how he looks. Because nothing would be worse than to see, hey, Okello, go man to man with the young T Mac, Tetero McMillan, he gets beat a bunch, and we're like, uh oh. That'd just be a bad confidence
yeah,
downer for him. It would, be like, all right, why are we screwing around with Emmanuel and Kobe playing so well? I think that's the right approach. I think the Rams will do that. Maybe, maybe not. But I think
yeah,
that's another key to victory. Rotate Akel in. Let's see how he looks. Right, he hasn't played football in many months now. Again, I'm sure he's
yeah.
still in shape and et cetera, et cetera. But getting back into the game flow and the game speed, it takes some time for guys. Um, roll with Emmanuel, roll with Kobe, and then rotate in D Will and Akello. And let's not screw up the good stuff going on that secondary right now, right?
And as we speak, we still have two kickers on the 53, right?
Yep. Yes, we
Yeah,
do. As you know, special teams. Shout out to Mevis, by the way, kicking a 50-yarder. Now we know he could do it, and it looks simple. You got to stick with them. Let's not put our kicker in crappy situations to kick long field goals, as we don't expect that to be the case. But
well,
special teams, right? Don't be dumb. Don't be holding. And Mevis, McQuaid, the new guys in on the PAT field goal operation. Just keep doing what you're doing, gentlemen, and things will
yeah.
work out our way, right? I think that's pretty simple, right, Mark?
Yeah, I've just been monitoring that situation with interest because it's a little bit of a dilemma they have with
Yeah.
Cardi there. I don't think they're ready to give up on him, but they're not ready to lean on him either. At some point, something's got to give, right? But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But I think this week won't be a week where we have controversy. I hope. Don't screw up my weekend, Rams. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. If anything, Mevis strikes me as more confident looking.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about Cardi. He's always, some of these kickers, and Cardi's one of them.
Yes.
It just doesn't give me a warm fuzzy
Hey,
on the sideline or preparing
it's a
for his
look in his
kicks.
face. It's just the truth.
Right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah, and
unfortunate, but
sometimes it means nothing, but you know how I feel.
let's go. Take your kicker on where we go with him. But all right, everyone. We gave you the history of Rams Panthers. We gave you the depth chart, then their best players, and who should we look out for from the Panthers as a whole. The keys to victory: some offense, defense, special teams, how the Rams are going to beat this team. Now, time for some early score predictions. What do we think is going to happen? Rams win, Rams lose, Rams tie, and what are the scores on that game? So, Mark, I'll start with you. What is your early score prediction for this game? Rams win, Rams tie, Rams lose, and what do you think?
Yeah, a lot of teams in this situation cruising in cruise mode, coming off a really convincing win against a first place team, traveling across the country to play in the morning on the East Coast. And it's you think like yeah, they could drop one here, they could really drop one, but I
Yeah,
think the way McVay's done very well in these situations in the past, and this team is they're not going to let it happen. They're going to play some good football. I don't. One side of me says they're going to blow them out, but I'm going to go a little conservative here, and I think the Panthers get the running game going a little bit, shorten the game a bit, maybe keep the score down, and it's I have the Rams winning 27-17.
Yeah, that's a realistic score, and bingo, bango, bongo. If anyone knows what that means, or the tie stuff. I mean, that's my exact same score prediction, Mark. It feels like, yes, the Rams will, get their 25 plus points, hit, above around that average that they've been getting, right? Which is fine with me. But it feels like because of the Carolina Panthers just being stupid on offense with game planning and play calling against the Niners, I feel like they're really going to lean into the run game and play action game, which is their strong suit. And I feel like we're riding high, right? Number one seed. Players are feeling good about themselves, which they should be. All this hype, number one seed. I think there's gonna be some moments where we're like, uh-oh, which will be like a typical trap game, right? Where the opposing team's
Right.
getting points. And that may not be the case, which I'm hoping. But it feels like a 27-17 game where, the defense has been on fire. Could they keep that going? I think they can. Will that be the case? I just have a weird feeling this will be one of those, again, quote unquote, trappy games or trap games where things are looking a little wonky for a while. And we're all kind of nervous, which I hope is not the case, by the way. I hope it's another 30 something to 7 victory, which is likely, but I think they get 17 on us. Maybe some garbage time to T-Mac, because again, he's a good player. Maybe Bryce Young, plays more efficient, which I hope he doesn't. But it feels like 27-17 is a realistic score for this type of matchup, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm on the same page as you. Obviously, we did these predictions independently and came up with the same score. So hey, we don't even have to play this game. We got the final score. Both of us agree on it.
Yeah. So I mean, please, Rams, don't screw up my weekend. Right? Thursday, we're gonna eat Thanksgiving, be with family, friends, play a little turkey bowl in the morning, watch some football, grub out. Friday, Black Friday game, go Bears to help out the Eagle or to help the Rams Eagles cause, right? Get the Eagles some more losses so we can have a bigger distance in the number one spot in the NFC, which, hey, not impossible. Bears aren't, crappy. Thank God for them. And then Saturday and Sunday, don't ruin the weekend, please, Rams. Win.
Was it last Thanksgiving or two Thanksgivings ago that you tore up your hamstring or something, right? You got to be careful out there, man.
Yeah, it was a couple years ago. At the end of the, after a gazillion games in a row, running around full speed, and when you haven't been running full speed every day like you're practicing football back in the day, not smart. But
Yeah.
don't worry, everyone. I stretch. I do well. I won't play so many. I won't go a full day of nonstop game action for 4 or 5 hours and screw myself up at the end of the day. That will not happen. So I'll be all right. And you guys be out all right at the too. We're going to do turkey bowl with friends, family, et cetera, et cetera. And again, don't be dumb. Don't be tackling to the ground and injuring yourself that way too. Get some flags, go 2-hand touch, wrap up at least, right? If you still want to be, keep the physicality of football alive, but, bring each other to the ground. We don't need concussions and broken legs and ankles and all that shit.
Amen.
Amen to that. But here, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving to you if you celebrate. If you celebrate anything else, or you just want to get together and have an excuse to eat a bunch, that's great too. And we hope you enjoy this holiday time. If you are, with family and the kids are off of school, whether you're getting the day off from work, and kick back, enjoy some football, and let's hope our Rams don't piss us off on Sunday and they do take care of victory and keep us happy rolling with the top spot in the NFC, right, Mark?
Absolutely. And I don't see that happening. Rams are they're just playing such good football right now. Sean McVay will not let this one get away. I'm pretty convinced of that.
They better not, dang it. But hey, no matter where you are on planet Earth, no matter whether you're celebrating Thanksgiving and Rams victory, and hopefully not a loss in LA, whether you are our fan base out in the Eastern Seaboard, whether you're in a foreign nation. I mean, hey guys, rep the blue and gold, rep it loud, rep it proud, and hey, always throw up the horns and say, "Go Rams, baby."